President Donald Trump's final attempt to suppress the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files has collapsed. In recent days, the White House launched a frantic campaign to pressure Republican lawmakers into withdrawing their support for full disclosure. Despite the effort, those lawmakers stood firm, and tonight the motion to release the Epstein files is officially moving forward to a full House vote, something Speaker Mike Johnson had delayed for nearly 2 months by refusing to swear in the newest member of Congress, Adelita Cava. Here's what set it off. The Republican leading the charge to release the Epstein records revealed,
I've already had a couple Republicans tell my office privately that they're going to vote for it, and I think that could snowball.
The vote would authorize the release of roughly 300 gigabytes of previously unseen Epstein material, emails, documents, and communications never before made public. And this development comes on the same day the House Oversight Committee released a new batch of explosive Epstein documents. These materials contain references to President Trump and several email exchanges, contradicting his repeated claims that he is not mentioned anywhere in Epstein's files. For years, Trump has publicly denied any close connection to Epstein, despite their long-documented friendship. However, sources confirm that former Attorney General Pam Bondi personally informed Trump that his name did in fact appear in the records, something Trump would have likely already known, yet he continued to deny any involvement. Bondi is seen today leaving the White House after a meeting with the FBI director, senior officials, and Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, one of only 4 House Republicans who signed the petition demanding full transparency of the Epstein files. Trump also reportedly played phone tag throughout the day with another key Republican, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, in what sources describe as an attempt to convince her to back off from the petition. Both Boebert and Mace are considered pivotal to the upcoming vote, alongside Adelita Cava, whose swearing in finally gave the House enough members to move the motion forward. Epstein's survivors were even present for her swearing-in ceremony, emphasizing just how significant her role is in the fight to bring these files to light. Tonight's developments represent only a small fraction of the material expected to emerge, but even that fraction contains startling new details. Among the released evidence are email exchanges between Epstein and his convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. In one message, Epstein writes, "The dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Blank spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned anywhere." Maxwell replied, "I have been thinking about that." Another exchange from June 2019, just after Trump's state visit to the United Kingdom, where he met with Prince Andrew, shows Epstein writing to Trump's former White House strategist Steve Bannon, "Prince Andrew and Trump today, too funny. Recall Prince Andrew's accuser came out of Mar-a-Lago." Bannon's response, "I can't believe nobody is making that connection." Now, Trump has not been accused of any direct wrongdoing in connection to Epstein's crimes, but his reactions have drawn scrutiny. Earlier today, the president took to social media, writing, "The Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything to distract from their failures on the shutdown and everything else." Of course, as many have pointed out, Epstein's crimes, his trafficking and abuse of underage girls, are far from a hoax. CNN's Jeff Zeleny, reporting live from the White House, described the situation as an extraordinary pressure campaign by the administration to stop Republicans from voting for the release. The White House, he said, is no longer even attempting to hide it. Officials have tried to spin the meetings as transparency briefings, particularly in Boebert's case, but this was no ordinary meeting. Sources confirm that Attorney General Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who questioned Ghislaine Maxwell earlier this year, the FBI director, and other top officials were all present. Their goal? To pressure Congresswoman Boebert to remove her name from the petition that would force the vote. This is just the beginning. Speaker Johnson has now confirmed that the House will hold a full vote next week, calling on the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. Even if the measure passes the House, the Senate must still approve it, a challenge in itself. But what's alarming the White House is the number of Republicans showing interest in breaking ranks. Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky, leading the pro-disclosure faction, says momentum is growing. He says, "We're seeing more and more Republicans come around. This could snowball." The administration fears just that, a wave of GOP defections that could hand transparency advocates a major victory. As Zeleny noted, with the government shutdown crisis possibly ending tonight, the White House has spent much of the day in all-out scramble mode, desperate to keep the Epstein issue from spiraling further. The next week will likely bring more lobbying, more meetings, and more political pressure behind closed doors. Meanwhile, Congressman James Walkinshaw, a Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, told reporters that Trump's reaction speaks volumes. If you look at his behavior today, the panic, the desperate calls, the attempts to block the vote, he looks like someone with something to hide. That's why we need full transparency and a public release of all Epstein files. Let the American people see the truth. One of the most talked about emails involves Epstein, Maxwell, and a redacted female name. Some Republican members have identified that person as Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most well-known accusers who once worked at Mar-a-Lago but has never accused Trump of any wrongdoing. Walkinshaw, however, refused to confirm the identity, saying Democrats are committed to protecting victims' privacy. Asked about the broader context of the email, Walkinshaw said,
"We don't know." But the other answer is, that's why we need to release the files. And as soon as next week, it sounds like, every member of the House of Representatives will have to go on record and decide and vote whether they're going to assist Donald Trump in this cover-up. And I hope my Republican colleagues will listen to the survivors that we've heard from and join with us in calling for full transparency.
The new tranche of documents obtained from the Epstein estate was subpoenaed by the committee months ago and only recently delivered. Walkinshaw confirmed that staff from both parties are still combing through the material. This slow drip of revelations is terrible for Trump politically. If he really had nothing to hide, he'd push to release everything at once instead of letting damaging information leak bit by bit. The question is, what's in those files that he's so desperate to keep hidden? As the investigation continues and pressure mounts, one thing is clear. The fight over the Epstein files is no longer just about transparency, it's about political survival at the highest levels of power.